Many people believe they need to feel ready before they can begin. They operate under the illusion that true, meaningful action is born from the perfect moment, the right emotional state, or some magical internal alignment that will suddenly propel them forward. But I can tell you, after decades of studying successful people and living these principles myself, that moment almost never arrives. And while you wait for motivation to strike, your life, your potential, and your opportunities are marching on without you. The great secret of progress, the one that separates the high achievers from the wishful thinkers, is not found in what you feel, but in what you do. You don't need the asterisk desire asterisk to act. You need the asterisk decision asterisk to act. This is a fundamental shift in thinking that changes everything. You see, action is not a consequence of motivation. It is a cause of it. It is only when you begin to move, day after day, without negotiation and without doubt, that your mind begins to transform. Your focus sharpens, your character hardens into a tool of your own will, and your destiny begins to bend toward your vision. So if you truly want a different life, stop waiting for more clarity or a better feeling. What would your life look like if you could simply force yourself to act every single day, create a momentum so powerful that your own vision became inevitable? Forcing yourself to take daily action is not a form of self-punishment. It is the ultimate form of self-liberation. The hard truth that few are willing to accept is this: if you do not command yourself, you will sabotage yourself. If you do not choose to move with intention, your own mind, in its endless search for comfort, will drag you back toward inertia, toward distraction, toward everything that feels easy in the moment but leaves you empty in the long run. The person who waits for the feeling of motivation, for the perfect mood, or for the ideal time will never build anything of substance. They are acting as a slave to their own emotional weather, and while their mind entertains it with clever excuses, their life slips through their fingers day by day, without direction, without results, and ultimately without self-respect. I, Brian Tracy, have worked with thousands upon thousands of individuals all over the world, from every walk of life, and I have seen the same pattern repeat itself time and time again. The people who truly change their destinies are not the most talented, nor are they the ones with the best resources or the earliest start. The ones who succeed are the ones who demand more from themselves each day. They are the ones who get up and do what they said they would do, even when they don't feel like it, even when they're exhausted, and even when no one is watching. They are the ones who have understood that real commitment does not depend on mood. It depends on decision. And that decision must be renewed every single morning as if your life depends on it. Because, in fact, it does. The power of forcing yourself to act lies in how it fundamentally transforms your perception of yourself. Every single time you take action when you don't want to, you are training your mind to respond to your will, not to your fleeting emotions. You are developing the most important muscle you possess, the muscle of self-direction. And that muscle, once it is formed and strengthened, becomes an internal force that drives you forward with or without motivation, with or without external support, and with or without immediate results. You no longer need the world to be in your favor, because you have put yourself firmly in your own favor. That kind of internal strength cannot be faked. It is felt, it is noticed, and it is breathed into everything you do. But this does not happen by accident. You have to force yourself. Yes, I use that word intentionally, force, because old, ingrained habits of procrastination and comfort do not deactivate with gentle intentions. They are broken with firm decisions, with a routine that is not up for negotiation, and with a structure that you yourself have designed and that you yourself honor, even when every part of your being wants to let go. That is where the real change begins. It's not when you do what is easy, but when you choose what is difficult with conviction. It's not when you are inspired, but when you are tired and you act anyway. That action carries a different weight. It is an echo that reconfigures your mind. And every time you repeat it, you become stronger, clearer, and more stable. Do not wait to feel like it. Do not buy into the story that you need to feel aligned to make progress. Make progress, and the alignment will come. Start walking, and the path will open up before you. Force yourself to move, and the motivation will grow as a consequence, because the human mind responds to movement. The more you move, the more energy you generate. The more you act, the more confidence you build. The more you follow through on your own commitments, the more respect you earn from the one person who matters most, yourself. And when you respect yourself, you no longer need external motivation. You only need to remind yourself of who you are and who you have decided to become. You are not here on this earth to simply react to life. You are here to create it. And that creation begins with action, daily action, non-negotiable action, disciplined action. It doesn't matter if the day is difficult. It doesn't matter if you are tired. What matters is that you choose to move, because every time you do, you are sculpting a destiny that your future self will thank you for. Force yourself, because that obligation is, in reality, the highest act of freedom. You are no longer reacting, you are choosing. And that power is the beginning of everything that matters. Forcing yourself to take action every day is more than just a practice of discipline. It is a silent declaration of who you are determined to become. And that decision is not proven in your intentions, but in your habits. Your daily actions reveal your true commitment, not what you say you want, but what you are willing to build, even if it costs you comfort, even if it hurts, and even if no one is there to celebrate it with you. The vast majority of people live their lives trapped in the chasm between their vision and their actions. They say they want an extraordinary life, but every single day they choose what is easy, what is comfortable, what is familiar. They fail to realize that this choice, repeated over and over, is slowly and silently killing their ambition. A successful life is not the sum of a few inspirational moments. It is the inevitable consequence of consistent daily actions. And that consistency is not natural for most people. It must be forced, at least in the beginning. Yes, it feels forced because you are uninstalling old patterns of behavior. You are going against the mental inertia that want to keep you in the familiar territory of your comfort zone. Your body and mind are accustomed to moving only when there is a strong feeling of desire or urgency. But if you decide to act anyway, if you choose to follow through even when you have zero motivation, that force which at first felt artificial will gradually become a part of you. And that is when everything changes, because the action no longer feels like an effort. It becomes your identity. I have lived this myself, and I have coached countless entrepreneurs, leaders, students, and athletes, and in every single one of them, I have seen the same truth. The ones who genuinely move forward are those who make action a standard, a non-negotiable habit. They don't wake up each day and ask themselves asterisk if asterisk they are going to do the work. They have already decided that they will. And that decision, sustained over time, becomes a system of personal power. With every day that you act, even with doubt, even with discomfort, you are sending a clear message to your mind. I am in command here. And that declaration, made silently through your actions, builds an internal authority that no failure can ever break. So many people are searching for the perfect system, the perfect mentor, or the perfect opportunity, but they completely ignore the most critical component, execution. You can have the best plan in the world, the most advanced tools, and the purest of intentions, and you will still fail if you do not execute. Conversely, you can have the worst possible start, the most limited resources, and the most difficult environment, and you can still succeed if you simply take action every single day. The difference is never in what you have. It is always in what you do with what you have. And if you decide to do something every day without excuses, without pause, and without drama, then the world will begin to open up for you. Life responds to real commitment, not to declared intention. Never underestimate the power of a single day. One day of real, focused action has more value than weeks of formless thinking, because that one day marks a rupture, a new story, a new cycle. And if you repeat it day after day, you will soon witness something that very few people ever experience, the cumulative effect of constant action. You will see how your ideas begin to take shape, how your body changes, how your mind becomes more orderly, and how your energy elevates, not because of some fleeting inspiration, but because of repetition, because of daily choice, because of directed movement. Force yourself, because that is what the person who leads their own life does. They don't act when it is easy. They act because it is necessary. They don't wait for the right emotion. They create it through their actions. They don't adapt to the pace of others. They set their own. And within that rhythm, forged by constant action, something appears that can no longer be stopped. It's called momentum. It's an energy that propels you, that pulls you forward, that connects you with your mission. And once that flame is lit, it is nearly impossible to extinguish. So look at yourself today and ask, without lying to yourself, am I waiting for feeling, or am I willing to act anyway? If your answer is the latter, you have just crossed a critical threshold. You are no longer waiting. You are choosing. You are deciding. You are advancing. And that is the kind of person who changes their life and leaves a mark on the world. Day by day, step by step, action by action. Without permission, without doubt, without pause. Forcing yourself to take action every day is not just about willpower. It is a conscious strategy to shape your identity. Everything you repeat becomes a part of you. Each day you choose to act instead of procrastinate. You are installing a new version of yourself, a version that is firmer, clearer, more reliable, and, most importantly, more powerful. It doesn't matter if you don't advance much today. It doesn't matter if the result is small. What matters is that you acted, that you took control, that you did not yield to the voice of comfort that whispers, "Better tomorrow." Because that voice, if you do not silence it with facts, will become your master. And no one who is governed by procrastination can ever build a life worth living. Your brain learns from what you do, not from what you think about doing. You can tell yourself 1,000 times that you want to change, that you're going to improve, that you will do things differently. But if there is no corresponding action, your mind simply does not believe it. Your subconscious is not transformed by empty promises. It is transformed by real movement, by small but sustained decisions, by that voluntary discomfort that comes from doing what you know you must do, even when you have absolutely no desire to do it. That repeated action is what begins to form the habit, and the habit begins to form your character. And when your character changes, your destiny follows. The problem is that most people want the results without the discomfort. They want change without the effort, and success without the pressure. But the price of real growth is always the same: daily discomfort. To reach the level you dream of, you are going to have to let go of the version of yourself that continues to hide behind excuses. You are going to have to break with the habits that have given you momentary pleasure but have cost you years of progress. You will have to stop asking for permission, stop negotiating with your weaknesses, and stop justifying every delay. You are going to have to tell yourself, "Today, I act whether I like it or not." Period. I remember coaching a young entrepreneur who had a brilliant idea for a software company. He had the plan, the skills, and the market was ripe. But for 6 months, he did nothing. He was paralyzed by the sheer size of the project. He told me, "Brian, I know what to do, but I just don't feel ready to start. I need to do more research, refine the plan." I told him to forget the grand plan for one day. I said, "Tomorrow, your only job is to do one thing: buy the domain name for your company. That's it." He laughed, thinking it was too small to matter, but he did it. The next day, I told him to write one paragraph describing the product. The day after, to call one potential investor, even if just for a 5-minute conversation. Each action was small, almost trivial. But after a week of these forced, tiny actions, his entire demeanor changed. He wasn't waiting to feel ready anymore. He was a man in motion. That company is now a multi-million-dollar enterprise, and it all started by forcing one small, uncomfortable action. You don't need to do everything in one day. You just need to do something every single day. This is what so few people understand. It is not about intensity. It is about consistency. Intensity gets you excited for a few days, but consistency transforms you for a lifetime. And that consistency is only born when you are no longer acting from a place of desire, but from a place of identity. It's no longer, "I want to do this." It becomes, "This is what I do star." Force yourself not because you hate your current life, but because you honor the life you know you are capable of building. You do it because you know that within you is a vision that deserves to be realized. You do it because you are no longer willing to keep justifying your own mediocrity. You do it because you have finally understood that no one is going to push you, no one is going to save you, and no one is going to build your path for you. Everything depends on what you decide today, and that decision must be reflected in what you do, not in what you say. Action is the language of people who take their destiny seriously. Every day that you act when you don't feel like it, you are gaining power. You are reclaiming parts of yourself that you had lost to comfort. You are reminding your mind who is in charge. And if you do this for long enough, you will become unstoppable. Not because everything will suddenly become easy, but because you will become stronger, firmer, and more determined. And that determination, once sharpened by daily practice, will cut through any excuse, dissolve any fear, and break through any obstacle. You build a personality that conquers, not with volatile emotions, but with solid decisions, not with promises, but with actions. If you choose to move every day without pause, without justification, and without permission, the life you imagine will not be a distant dream. It will be your natural consequence because you created it step by step, with will, with structure, and with real, daily, unstoppable action. Forcing yourself to take action every day also means learning not to depend on immediate results to continue. If you only act when you see progress, you are tying yourself to the short term. An extraordinary life is not built on quick rewards, but on a type of unshakable faith in the process. Every day that you follow through, even when it seems like nothing is changing on the surface, you are winning. You are planting roots. You are strengthening your character. But if you only measure your value by the visible results, you will quit just before the real change happens. The fruit always comes last. First comes the silent sowing, the uncomfortable routine, the unrecognized consistency, and it is in that silence that greatness is formed. The person who achieves great things is not the one who obsesses over speed, but the one who marries themselves to the direction. They understand that acting every day is not an emotional choice. It is a non-negotiable part of their identity. Their commitment is not to quick success, but to real transformation. And that transformation requires repetition, it requires structure, and it requires sustained will, day after day, even when they are tired, even when it isn't noticeable, and even when it hurts. They don't do it for applause. They do it out of self-respect. They understand that their destiny is forged on the days when no one is watching, when no one is congratulating them, and when no one is waiting for them. And still, they show up, they act, they deliver. If you are listening to this right now, it is because there's a part of you that knows you are capable of more. You are tired of waiting for the ideal moment. You no longer want to feel trapped in your own indecision. That internal impulse you feel right now is not a coincidence. It is your future self screaming at you to wake up. It is telling you that you can no longer afford another day of excuses, of procrastination, of mental negotiations. It's time to become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel. And if you are determined to take that step, I want you to seal that commitment right here, right now. Subscribe to this channel. Not for me, but for you. Let every video you receive be a reminder that you have a path to walk, a vision to build, and a life to create. And if you truly want to reaffirm your commitment, write it down in the comments below. Type this sentence, asterisk, asterisk, I act even when I don't feel like it, to asterisk, asterisk, let your mind see it. Let your fingers type it. Let your body feel it. Because when your words align with your intention, something begins to shift inside you. You are no longer just saying you will do it. You are doing it. And that is what makes all the difference between the one who dreams and the one who builds. Force yourself to take action not because of external pressure, but because of internal dignity. Every time you do the right thing without expecting a reward, you are training your mind to respect you. And that self-respect is a seed of all true confidence. Not the empty confidence that depends on results, but the solid confidence that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you will respond. You will be there. You will act. That kind of person doesn't need motivation. They have purpose. They don't need infinite energy. They have structure. They don't need to be perfect. They have discipline. And that discipline is what sets them free. Every day that you choose to act, even when no one sees it, you are building a life that asterisk will asterisk be seen. A life that will command respect, that will inspire others, and that will leave a mark. Because it wasn't the product of luck or raw talent. It was a direct consequence of a decision, repeated with courage. Today, I will do it again. Today, I will not stop. Today, I will follow through, no matter the cost. That is a phrase that transforms destinies. Write it, repeat it, live it, because the world belongs to those who act while others are still thinking. And you can be one of them. You just have to decide and then follow through every single day. Without excuses, without pause, without permission. Forcing yourself to take action every day is, at its core, a war against your most comfortable self. It's a battle against that part of you that wants to stay right where it is, that actively seeks distractions, and that convinces itself that tomorrow will be a better day to start. It is that soft, reasonable-sounding voice that seems to be protecting you, but in reality, it is keeping you permanently stuck. The only way to win this war is not by arguing with that voice, but by acting before it even begins to speak. Once the body is in motion, the mind quiets down. Once you take the first step, the inertia is broken. And in that first step, there is more power than in 100 hours of planning. Most people lose their days lost in a fog of thoughts, doubts, and justifications. I don't have time today. I'm too tired. It's not the right day for this. And so it goes, one day after another, without any real movement. But the person who achieves what they want is the one who acts without these excuses. They put themselves in motion not because everything is perfect, but because they have understood that their time is finite. They know they cannot continue negotiating with a part of themselves that only knows how to postpone. That person does not need to feel motivated. They have a routine that pulls them forward. They have a structure that forces them to respond. And that structure is their freedom because they no longer depend on emotion. They depend on habit. And habit protects them from self-sabotage. I have lived this. For years, I postponed important decisions, waiting to feel fully prepared. And every time I did, my energy drained, my vision weakened, and my confidence eroded. I knew I was failing myself, not because of what I didn't know how to do, but because of what I knew I should do and still wasn't doing. It was a painful realization. It was then that I understood. If I want to change my life, I have to act before I feel ready. I have to train myself to move when others stop. And that training is not comfortable, it is not pretty, but it is absolutely necessary. What it gave me was far more than results. It gave me control, power, and direction. This isn't about living a life of exhaustion. It is about living a life that is awake, conscious, and present. It is about developing the capacity to recognize every single time your mind wants to postpone something, that this is a trap disguised as logic. What is comfortable always seems reasonable until you wake up one day and realize that years have passed and you are still in the exact same place. And for a person who understands the value of their life, that is simply unacceptable. This is why forcing yourself is not a lack of self-love. It is the highest form of self-respect. You do it because you know you deserve more, and you are no longer willing to settle for less. Create your own rules. Define your schedule for action. Decide what gets done and when it gets done, and then execute without debate. Eliminate the need to check in with your feelings. You are not here to follow your emotions. You are here to lead them. You are here to bring order to the chaos, to use your mind as a tool, not as a judge. And you can only achieve this if there is structure, if there is decision, if there is a daily clarity that tells you, this is what's next, and I'm going to do it no matter what. And here is the most powerful truth of all. Every single day that you follow through, you are rebuilding your confidence. You are healing your relationship with yourself. You are rewriting your own story. The person who acts every day, even when no one is watching, even when no one understands, even when no one applauds, that person becomes invincible. They no longer need motivation. They need movement. They no longer wait to be saved. They are saving themselves. They no longer dream of a better future. They are building it step by step, with firm decisions, with real acts, with will that does not break. That is the life you deserve. But you can only have it if you claim it. If you decide that today, like all the days that will follow, you are going to act. Not out of pressure, not out of fear, but because you have already decided. Because you are no longer willing to leave your destiny in the hands of doubt. Because you know that if you don't force yourself, no one will do it for you. And that radical awareness is the beginning of your ultimate transformation. Forcing yourself to take daily action also means eliminating the all-or-nothing mentality. This mindset is a trap disguised as perfectionism. It's a voice that tells you, if you can't do it all today, you're better off doing nothing at all. And just like that, it stops you, it paralyzes you, it convinces you that it's better to wait until everything is perfectly aligned before you start. But the reality is, if you only act when you can do it perfectly, you will act very, very rarely. And that is exactly what kills your progress. It's not that you don't have the time or the resources. It's that you are waiting for conditions that will never arrive. And in the meantime, your life remains exactly the same. The person who achieves great things does not act when everything is in order. They act with what they have, from where they are, with the energy that is available. They understand that the key is not to do it perfectly, but to do it for real. What builds character is not intensity, but continuity. It is a habit of moving, even with small steps. It is a habit of acting, even with mistakes. It is a habit of advancing, even when it isn't noticeable. Every conscious movement feeds your internal power, and that power grows when you decide to follow through without conditions, when you become someone who doesn't need the ideal stage to perform, but only needs a reason. And if your reason is clear, your action will be inevitable. I have said this before, and I will say it again. Success is not a matter of explosions. It is a matter of accumulation. One small action added to another, and another creates momentum. And that momentum changes your energy, your perception, and your identity. But if every time you can't do everything, you decide to do nothing, you are reinforcing the very pattern that keeps you weak. You are teaching your mind that the slightest obstacle is enough to make you stop, and that is unacceptable if you truly want a different life. The strong individual does not give up because the conditions aren't ideal. They adapt, they adjust, but they act anyway, and that is what separates them from everyone else. I once worked with a gentleman who wanted to write a book. For a year, he had this grand plan to write for 3 hours every day. But his life was chaotic, and he could rarely find a 3-hour block. So, most days, he wrote nothing. He was a victim of the all-or-nothing trap. I told him to forget the 3 hours. His new goal was to write 1 paragraph a day. Just one. He scoffed, but he agreed to try it. Some days, he only wrote that 1 paragraph. But on other days, that 1 paragraph turned into a page, and sometimes a whole chapter. The key was that he never broke the chain. He was no longer waiting for the perfect 3-hour window. He was a writer who wrote every day. He finished that book in 6 months. Forget about acting only when you are inspired. Create a system in which the minimum still counts. Create a habit where it's not about how much you do, but about not breaking the chain. You must demonstrate to your mind that you follow through, even if it's just with the basics. When that becomes a part of you, the effort no longer feels like effort. It feels like an extension of your character. And then, even on your worst days, you continue to advance. It may be slow, it may be a crawl, but you are moving forward. And that, over time, will take you much further than any short burst of intense but inconsistent motivation. This is the mindset. Today, even if you are at 40%, you are going to give that 40%. You are not going to hide it. You are not going to waste it. You are going to use it. That act, however small it may seem, sustains you, it protects you, and it reminds you that you are no longer the person who postpones, who gives up, who waits. You are the person who acts. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's not much, you act. And that, over the days and weeks, turns into a firm, internal force where pausing is no longer an option. You are no longer acting based on feelings. You are acting based on identity. Eliminate the all-or-nothing mindset. Change your focus and, in its place, adopt the mentality of the builder. Today, something will be advanced. That conviction, repeated every single day, will make you stronger than any strategy, any motivation, any master plan. You will become the kind of person who does not betray themselves, who does not stop, who does not wait for permission, who does not negotiate with their purpose. You just act, day by day, step by step, slow, if necessary, but always firm. And that firmness, though it may begin with small acts, will eventually build something that the world cannot ignore, a powerful life, designed with purpose, and completely your own. Forcing yourself to take daily action not only molds your discipline, it also transforms your self-esteem from its very foundation. True confidence is not born from thinking positively about yourself or from repeating affirmations in front of a mirror. It is born from keeping the promises you make to yourself. It comes from proving to yourself, with concrete evidence, that you can trust yourself. You become reliable in your own eyes, capable of doing what is necessary even when there is no applause, when no one is observing, and when everything inside of you wants to stop. Each day that you do what you said you would do, no matter how small, you are rebuilding a broken relationship with your own word. And that relationship is worth more than any motivation technique, because it is a core of your inner strength. The reason so many people doubt themselves is not because they lack talent, but because they have failed themselves so many times that they no longer believe in their own decisions. They tell themselves they are going to change, but they don't. They promise themselves they will start, but they postpone. Each of these small self-betrayals erodes their self-respect until they reach a point where they don't even take themselves seriously. They talk about their goals, but deep down, they know they won't follow through. And all the while, they keep asking themselves, why don't I have any confidence? The answer is simple. Confidence comes from coherent action. It comes from promising yourself little and delivering always. If you begin to act every day, regardless of how you feel, your mind will start to see you differently. No longer as the one who doubts, no longer as the one who procrastinates, but as the one who responds, the one who advances, the one who delivers. And that internal perception changes everything. You stop needing external validation. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop seeking approval. You are no longer someone who needs to be pushed. You are the one who pushes yourself. And when that happens, your energy changes, your voice changes, your very presence changes. You are no longer trying to appear strong. You are strong. From the inside out, from a place of deep respect for yourself. I have seen people who for years felt small, invisible, and confused transform themselves radically by committing to one single thing, completing one act of daily action. It didn't matter how big or how perfect it was, only that it was daily, only that the chain was not broken. After a few weeks, they began to walk differently, to speak differently, to choose differently. Not because the world had changed, but because ** had changed. And that gave them back the power they had previously handed over to their excuses, their fears, or their doubts. And here is something that almost no one will tell you. Acting every day doesn't make you rigid. It makes you free. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You are no longer hijacked by your mood. You are no longer a slave to your insecurities. You become the master of your own energy. And that mastery, that knowledge that you can do the right thing even on your worst day, gives you a peace that the world cannot take away. You are no longer living in contradiction. You are living in coherence. And that coherence is the root of all true strength. So ask yourself with brutal honesty, do I really want to trust myself, or do I just want to feel good for a moment? If what you want is to build real, solid, lasting confidence, then do not look for it in emotion. Look for it in action. Do not wait for it as a reward. Build it as a habit, day by day, step by step, with acts as simple as they are powerful. Because every day that you choose to act, even when you don't want to, you are telling your mind, I deliver, I respond, I am someone who can be trusted. And that conviction, once it is deeply rooted, makes you unstoppable. It makes you real. It makes you great, not because of what you say, but because of what you do every single day, without fail. Forcing yourself to take daily action also has a silent but profound impact. It redefines your relationship with pain. While most people do everything possible to avoid it, by postponing tasks, escaping decisions, and evading discomfort, you choose to face it. You plant your feet firmly, you look it in the eye, and you choose to advance. You have understood that pain is not the enemy. It is the natural price of growth. It is a signal that you are leaving the familiar behind. It is the inevitable consequence of wanting more. And you don't just accept it, you use it. You convert it into fuel, into impulse, into part of your daily training. The average person runs from pain. The disciplined person transforms it. While one complains, the other gets stronger. While one seeks comfort, the other builds resilience. And that resilience is forged every single time you do what you don't want to do. Every time you get up even though you slept poorly. Every time you work out even though your body aches. Every time you do the work even when motivation is absent. In those moments, you are developing something far more valuable than results. You are developing mental toughness. And that toughness is what will allow you to sustain your journey when everyone else has quit. I have been in situations where everything was pushing me to stop. Fatigue, frustration, fear, pressure. And I learned that in those moments, it is not about being the most prepared or the physically strongest. It is about being the most determined. It is about being the one who has already decided that no matter how much it costs, they are going to continue. the one who has integrated into their mind that pain is not an obstacle, it is a message. And the message is simple. You are crossing boundaries. You are growing. You are doing what others will not do, and therefore you will get what others will not get. Your resistance to emotional and physical pain is trained just like a muscle, with every repetition, with every day you choose not to stop. The more you face it with decision, the smaller it becomes. You no longer magnify it. You no longer interpret it as a sign of weakness. You understand it as part of the process. And then, your threshold for tolerance rises, your mind clears, and your character hardens. You no longer need life to be easy. You become stronger than the difficulties. The pain you feel today is not punishment. It is construction. The discomfort you now want to avoid will be the very thing you look back on with pride one day and say, that is where I was forged. A strong, firm, and real identity is not born in comfort. It is born in the disciplined repetition of small, uncomfortable actions every single day. If you choose that discomfort today, you will be cultivating a life that will make you free tomorrow, free from fear, free from laziness, free from guilt. You will have built a version of yourself that acts not when it is easy, but when it is necessary. Force yourself to continue even when it hurts, because that is where your true character is revealed. That is where you separate those who want something from those who are willing to pay the price for it. No one becomes their best version by dodging effort. They become it by walking through it, by entering the discomfort with a firm chest, knowing that on the other side of that pain is strength, clarity, and greatness. Make every day a training session, not just physical, but mental, emotional, and spiritual. Train yourself to resist the pain that forms you, not the one that destroys you. Because if you do not choose a discomfort that strengthens you, the world will throw you into the one that breaks you. And you are not here to be fragile. You are here to be firm, to advance when others retreat, to hold steady when everything seems to be shaking. You are no longer defined by the pain you feel, but by the action you choose day after day. If you decide that every day will be a silent affirmation of your greatness, that every step will be a message to the world, I do not stop. I do not surrender. I do not betray myself. That is a signature of the person who has finally understood that power is not in what they feel, but in what they do. That success is not luck, but repetition. And that the life you imagine is not a gift, but a conquest. A daily, real, intimate, and absolutely personal conquest. Success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you become. And you become that person, one decisive action at a time.